Chapter 1803. Cut It Yourself. Its size is close to Zhang Yi's shelter, and it looks like a house. Zhang Yi looked at it, but did not dare to act rashly, because he did not know what was inside. So he decided to put the things away first, and take them back to study slowly. Zhang Yi opened the dimensional door, and the powerful attraction made this huge black building soar into the air and slowly sink into the alien space. Looking at this huge world in front of him, there are still many areas that have not been explored, but Zhang Yi does not have time at the moment. He must go back as soon as possible to avoid arousing other people's suspicion. Let's go. Let's figure out what's inside first. As for this place, we can come back to check it out later. A huge lost civilization must hide treasures, whether it is technological relics or historical relics. Zhang Yi took everyone back to the ground quickly. At this time, Giselberg was still waiting for them outside. Boruto's alien team also arrived here and was searching for something everywhere. Seeing Zhang Yi, Emperor Shirtian immediately came over and asked, "Chaos, where did you go just now? Did you find anything?" His eyes were staring at Zhang Yi, full of suspicion. Everyone is not stupid. They obviously realize that there must be something special nearby, otherwise how could the demon god be attracted? Zhang Yi said, "I searched around and found nothing." Zhang Yi disappeared on the spot, but no one knew where he went, and it was even more unimaginable that he actually dived tens of thousands of meters below the ground. Emperor Shirtian looked at Zhang Yi with suspicion, and Giselberg was also a little hesitant. But at the moment, they had no evidence to prove anything. Zhang Yi said, "We have to go back, lest the mechanical civilization come to retaliate later. I heard that there are 10 humanoid demon gods in total. You'd better leave quickly, so as not to get into trouble." As he said, Zhang Yi came to Giselberg, picked him up, opened the dimensional door, and left the scene. Emperor Shirtian looked at Zhang Yi going away, and his suspicion became heavier, but after thinking for a long time, he was also worried that there would be danger here later, so he could only choose to take everyone back to Samran City as soon as possible. Not long after, Zhang Yi returned to Samran City and found Bodaga as soon as possible and returned Giselberg to him. Bodaga was overjoyed to see Giselberg and excitedly went over to hug him. "My dear Davari, you are still alive. This is really great. I almost thought you were dead." A black chariot-level alien is too important to Fremons. If he died, they didn't know how much time and resources they would have to spend to train another one. "I have to thank Lord Chaos for saving my life from the hands of the demon." Bodaga then looked at Zhang Yi. This time he took a deep breath and said to Zhang Yi, "Thank you very much, Lord Chaos." He walked over and shook hands with Zhang Yi vigorously. Zhang Yi smiled faintly and said, "We are allies. This is what I should do. But please don't forget our previous agreement." Zhang Yi looked at Bodaga meaningfully. Bodaka's face was a little strange, but he still nodded. "Of course, we Fremons people are the most trustworthy." Zhang Yi nodded. "That's right. You will strictly abide by what you said and the treaties you signed." "I know it very well." Bodaga's face became a little ugly, and then after a few polite words, he immediately took Giselberg to receive treatment. Fatty Su came over and whispered in Zhang Yi's ear, "Boss, that kid is not holding back. You don't give him face. Aren't you afraid that he will make things difficult for you behind your back?" Zhang Yi said lightly, "Do you think he will be nice to you if you are polite to him? This guy is very cunning and only wants to get benefits from others. There is no need to be polite to him. He will have many opportunities to ask us for help in the future." When the 10 demon gods appeared, Zhang Yi knew that the conflict between human civilization and mechanical civilization had escalated. Especially after he killed a demon god, the mechanical civilization would definitely counterattack. So next, Fremons can sit back and reap the benefits. The good days are over. At that time, administrative representatives such as Bodaga had to seek help from a few powerful aliens such as Zhang Yi who could fight against the demon god. Let's wait and see. Zhang Yi took everyone back to their residence and asked the fleeing troops to guard the courtyard and prevent anyone from approaching. Then, he took out the spoils of this battle and asked Liu Karen, Yang Xinxin, and others to help him study. In Fremons, Bodaga personally sent Juzerberg to the medical center for treatment. Fortunately, the attending physician told him that Juzerberg's body was not seriously injured. After all, he was an enhanced ability user with sufficient physical strength. He could recover after a period of rest. Bodaga breathed a sigh of relief. But then he thought of many other problems, so he came to Juzerberg's bed. Juzerberg, what exactly happened in Ordo City? Their satellite system failed directly after the appearance of the demon god and was interfered by a powerful signal, so Bodaga and others didn't know what happened over there. Juzerberg did not hide anything and directly told Bodaga about the situation over there. After hearing this, Bodaga's eyes widened. He closed his eyes and remained silent for a long time. After a long time, he walked to the window and murmured, 5 super-large mechanical life forms and a demon-level humanoid creature were all killed by the Chaos Team. They are so powerful. Bodaga knew that Zhang Yi was very strong. But that was just because he thought he knew Zhang Yi very well, and today he realized that he had seriously underestimated Zhang Yi's strength. Because of such an amazing record, even Morana of the Temple of the Gods might not be able to do it personally. Morana has the strength to fight against the demon god, which was once confirmed in the battle of the fall of Karen City. But she definitely can't do what Zhang Yi did, taking down a demon god without injury. But soon Bodaga thought of a very important thing. Zhang Yi captured a demon god. Demon god-level artificial humans can basically be determined to be mechanical life forms. As a powerful combat type, his technological content far exceeds that of super-large mechanical life forms. So Bodaga was moved. This is the first time that humans have captured such a high-level mechanical life form. Once such technology is mastered, the value for a country is inestimable. Bodaga had a gloomy face, and soon he made a decision to ask for this technology. After all, according to the agreement, Zhang Yi must give them 10% of the resources. Bodaga didn't want anything else, just the remains of the demon god Gui for research. After making up his mind, he went directly to Zhang Yi's residence. At this time, Zhang Yi had just handed the spoils to Lu Karen and Yang Xinxin and asked the smartest people and the most proficient mechanical people in the entire shelter to study them together. Among them were the dismantled remains of the demon god Gui and those red energy crystals. As for the huge black cube suspected to be a building that was obtained underground in Ordo City before Zhang Yi gave it to them, Bailey Chongqing's report came from outside. Your Excellency, Bodhaja of the Pantheon wants to see you. Zhang Yi's mouth curled up with a smile. This guy. Of course, he knew why Bodhaja came. But he also thought of a countermeasure. So Zhang Yi directly asked Bodhaja and others to come to the room. Bodhaja brought people into the living room. When he saw Zhang Yi, he smiled all over his face. He held Zhang Yi's hand and said a lot of nice words. He also said that he was grateful to Zhang Yi for saving Juzerberg and that he was Fremon's forever friend. He also said that it was difficult to find a second great alien like Zhang Yi who is selfless in the world. After a lot of nice words, he almost praised Zhang Yi to the sky. This made Zhang Yi doubt whether he was a modern man or a Sherman's old man from the last century. Otherwise, how could he be so good at flattering? But Zhang Yi has always been wary of him, so he just smiled at Bodhaja's flattery. Bodhaja wasted a lot of saliva before finally explaining the purpose of his visit. Well, Lord Chaos, I wonder if you still remember our previous agreement. We Fremons will get 10% of the spoils you obtained on the battlefield. Zhang Yi smiled and said frankly, remember, I, Chaos, am a man who keeps my promises. Bodaga smiled and said, that's good. I heard that you captured Gui, one of the 10 demons this time. So it's part of the supplies, should also be given to us, 10%. Zhang Yi drooped his eyelids, touched his nose and said, Bodaga, this is our agreement. Bodaga's blue eyes stared at Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi frowned, but I saved Juzerberg. Don't you think he is not worth that 10% of the spoils? A black chariot-level alien with unlimited potential is certainly worth more than that. Bodaga raised his voice and said, of course it can't be counted. Saving Juzerberg was the condition we agreed on at the beginning. If not, how could we reduce the commission to 10%? Zhang Yi smiled and spread his hands. Okay. If you insist on saying so, I can't do anything about it. I will give you 10% of the spoils this time. Bodhijia was relieved, and then he said eagerly, then please give it to me now. I will take it away directly. He was now anxious to take the body of the demon god back to study. Whether it is the material of its body structure, or the special energy supply system, or the more powerful defense field mechanism, they are all priceless treasures. Don't worry. There are too many things. I'm worried that you can't take them all. Zhang Yi said lightly. Bodhijia frowned. It's just 1/10 of the remains of the demon god. How much can it be? Zhang Yi looked at him with a playful look. Who said I'm going to give you the remains of the demon gods? Bodhijia's face suddenly changed. Zhang Yi continued, 1/10 of the spoils is what I gave you.
Why?
You only took 1/10, and you still want to specify the spoils. Besides, do you know how strong the body of the demon god is? It is completely different from the previous models. I can't help you divide it so accurately. This is true. As a combat machine, the material of the demon god is extremely strong, even stronger than the E-metal used by Zhang Yi now. Just to break his body defense, Zhang Yi had to use the power of the divine domain, and it took dozens of bombardments to deform it. Not to mention the scientific institutions of the Fremons people, it is even more difficult.
Cut it apart.
But then again, Zhang Yi has Luke Heron's help, which is equivalent to having a cheat in the field of materials. It is not difficult to study it, but he is not stupid. Why should he tell Bodaka? Bodaka stared at Zhang Yi and said in a deep voice, if you can't do it, you can bring it here. We have a way to help you split it. Zhang Yi said, that's good, but you have to split it in front of me. You can ask your technical department to come. Bodaka was worried at this time. What he really wanted was actually the energy core of the demon god. But with their current technology, it is strong enough to study a super-large mechanical life form, not to mention the demon god core. As for splitting out 10%, this sounds pure nonsense. Bodaka took a deep breath and made another suggestion. Why not do this? We don't ask for ownership of the remains of the demon god. Just give it to us for research for a period of time. Zhang Yi smiled, then shook his head decisively. If you can't even split it, isn't it a waste of time to study it for you? The blush on Bodaka's face became more and more intense, and he was about to be unable to hold back his anger. In Fremons, who dared to do this to him? But facing Zhang Yi, his power was useless at this time. In anger, he said, okay, I will send someone to cut off 10% of the demon body immediately. Zhang Yi spread his hands. Please do as you please. Bodaka went over angrily and called on the science center to send technicians. Zhang Yi didn't care at all. Except for those with high-level splitting skills like Li Changgong, ordinary aliens in Zhang Yi's mouth include white chariots. They can hardly shake this material. Not long after, a large number of professional personnel came to the science department of Fremons. They came in a large snowmobile, which was filled with various cutting tools, all of which were the most advanced products in the world. Even diamonds were as fragile as tofu in their eyes. Zhang Yi didn't waste any words. In front of them, he took out the remains of the demon god. It was a very large wreckage, about twice the size of an ordinary person. Zhang Yi looked at them.
Cut it.
A group of staff members looked at each other and immediately dragged the demon god's head to cut it. Because according to their experience, the demon god's energy core is in this position. Zhang Yi didn't care about their little tricks. In fact, the demon god's energy core had been taken out by him a long time ago. After suppressing its self-explosion in the alien space, he gave it to Luke Heron for research after confirming that it was safe. So at this time, the remains of the demon god were just an empty shell without a soul.